Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our second edition of AI in Recruitment and Sourcing. My name is Adrian Kolf, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Matcher, investor in HR tech, speaker, but most importantly, I am your host. Now, I am very excited that today that we have Anna Morgan, who is an experienced recruiter and talent acquisition expert, who will tell us a little bit more about AI in recruitment. Hi, Anne. Welcome on stage.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah. Hey, Anne, in terms of AI in recruitment, right? Like, I know you're going to touch upon this, but how do you feel that AI can actually enhance the human touch within recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, the empathetic essence of recruitment is all about the connection, about the heart-centered human-to-human work that we do. And I'm going to share a little bit on how I've leveraged AI and ChatGPT to amplify that area of recruitment, to communicate better, to provide better feedback, to create more remarkable candidate experiences. So oftentimes simple, but it really elevates the work that we do and finding that balance between, maintaining the technology side, but also the human side.
Love that. I can't wait.
Awesome.
Before I give you the stage, I want to make two announcements. Is one, if you or your company could use any sourcing or recruitment support, please let us know. Our embedded recruiters and sourcers can't wait to sink their teeth in any hiring problem that you have, whether that is in Africa, Europe, or the US. And secondly, on the 2nd of November, we organize the biggest tech recruitment conference of the Benelux in Amsterdam. Now, we have a few tickets left to be there in person, but online, we have unlimited amount of tickets left. So if you want to join, because we have some amazing keynote speakers from Booking.com, HelloFresh, PwC, Miro, that are all going to share different types of experiences. You can join the live stream, and you will receive the recordings after the conference. So sign up to our newsletter or follow us on our LinkedIn account of Matcher, and you will receive a 20% discount code. 2nd of November. Buy your tickets now. Anne, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Then the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hey everyone, I'm Anna Morgan, and if there is one thing that I've come to deeply appreciate over my 20 years in recruitment and talent acquisition is the importance of the human touch of the work that we do as recruiters and talent acquisition leaders. So in an industry that is as dynamic and constantly changing as ours, the need for connection is paramount. And so We are now at an interesting pivot point or juncture where technology, specifically AI, is reshaping areas of the recruitment landscape. So today's session isn't just about heralding all the advancements of AI in recruitment, but more importantly, understanding how we can harness these tools without losing the core essence of empathy. And ChatGPT is at the forefront of what I'm going to share. And I will take you along on a journey of how I've used its capabilities to amplify my own empathetic essence in my recruitment strategies. We all know the challenge of this profession. It requires us to sort through high volumes of applications, the need for quick turnaround, and the desire to offer a more personalized candidate experience. So, AI, specifically ChatGPT, really gives us ways to integrate technology without compromising the personal touch, the intuitive work, the heart centered work that we do as we move through the recruitment process. So, it's about working smarter rather than harder and really streamlining processes, but maintaining that people over everything vibration in the work that we do. So last year, at the height of everyone talking about AI and ChatGPT, I was a part of a 6-person Fortune 500 corporate talent acquisition group. And, we started sharing different hesitations and feelings and fears about the rise of AI in the recruitment space. And I am a Gen X. I grew up in the 80s. And when I thought about I thought that we were all going to be like Arnold. you know, the Terminator came out in 1984, and this is how I saw the future of recruiting. So, this people leader, I was like, I am not interested in building a relationship with some piece of technology that's going to talk back to me. So I was very heads down and very resistant and a little bit of a late adopter, which is unusual because I consider myself to be someone, while Gen X, I'm very intrigued with like social media and other technology that is more in line with younger generations. So I was all heads down until the conversations at our weekly huddles began to evolve. And those conversations changed from being fear-based about Arnold and were more kind of like, I know something that I feel like other people don't know. And my teammates and I started sharing more productivity hacks on how we were leveraging ChatGPT to do our jobs more effectively. And not only were we, giddy and sharing belly laughs, we were actually doing our work even more efficiently. So that's when I saw the tipping point and the opportunity to merge AI and technology to amplify, the essence of human empathy and that heart-to-heart work that we do. So that was the tipping point. So many of you might have had similar journeys, resistant at first, but then you get very curious very fast. So ChatGPT, is one of the front runners of the AI language, and its capabilities have transformed sectors, including the landscape of recruitment. So it's trained on vast amounts of data from the internet and processes this colossal amount of information and learns patterns and structures and nuances of language. And while traditional algorithms are rule-based, ChatGPT leverages patterns and in data to generate human-like text, which again, admittedly, I was a little nervous still. But what I realized that having this tool was like having a conversation with a collective of all my recruiting career BFFs who had published books and articles and blogs and web content from across the globe. And this was all distilled into one coherent voice. So the adaptability, the learning style, it's a unique tool. And especially in recruitment, when we need access to information fast and we are what we do is founded on connecting the dots. Understanding connection with the help of AI is absolutely paramount. So, this is where I really started to get it and where I started leveraging some of the tools in my day to day work. So, um, here we are. I was not listening to the headlines where tech giants were warning about, the dangers or profound risk of AI. I was simply thinking, as a G&A recruiter, would this bring speed and efficiency and consistency? Would it help me create better results for my candidates and better results for my hiring managers? So I knew at the heart of all recruitment that it's more than just filling positions. It's about understanding people, understanding our candidates, understanding our hiring managers, and their goals, and then aligning our candidates to the organizational's focus and goals, while also building those meaningful relationships. So once I was able to get out of my way, I was able to start leveraging ChatGPT in my day-to-day work. I saw that it was helping me move faster. I loved the fact that I could access ChatGPT 24 hours a day, and that it was assisting me in not only leveling me up and providing me educational gems and knowledge that I needed to do my job better. But I also saw that it promised consistency and potentially reduced bias in the recruitment process. So I kept it really simple. And from that, I began really building on what is first and foremost, I wanted to focus on the empathetic essence of recruiting. What does that mean? Because if you're not focused on that being in the forefront of the work that you do, then the tools don't make sense. So, empathetic essence, in the way I define it, is that human-centered approach. Underlying the whole process of recruiting, at our core, we recognize that job seekers and employers are so much more than just transactional entities. We're people with feelings and aspirations and concerns and experiences. And so that looks like leading with empathy is understanding business needs. It's understanding, being an active listener, being a transparent communicator. And I saw that I could start leveraging ChatGPT to do things better. I wanted to recognize potential talent even faster. I wanted to drive diversity initiatives. I wanted to show, more empathy in offering customized feedback and compassionate rejection when I had to give candidates bad news. So it all focused around leveraging these tools to build relationships, to foster trust, and ultimately, create more amplified, richer candidate experiences, which ultimately lead to, happier employers and a better experience coming into an organization. Just going to take a second and look at the chat. So I started using ChatGPT as a bridge builder. So how could I use it to redefine the candidate experience every step of the process? So I started super simple, and this might be very similar to many of your journeys. Parsed in some parts of a resume and my notes from an interview, and that helped me craft better notes to put in the ATS, or for presentation summaries of the candidates I had interviewed for my hiring managers. And after a couple of weeks, this is where I started to realize that, ChatGPT wasn't just giving me text responses, that it was understanding context and sentiment and humor. And then I started leveraging it to build more, richer and meaningful relationships with my peers, with my supervisors, and obviously with my candidates. So a couple of weeks later, I came across a candidate who was actually a tech recruiter that had been downsized. This is fall of last year, and she wanted to pivot out of recruiting. We can't blame her with everything our industry has been through. And she wanted to get into like a merchandising buying role. And when you look at a candidate and you're like, on paper, like, how in the world am I going to make a business case to make this happen? Like, I feel it, I see it, I've got that intuitive, like, gut feeling, like they hit all these other criteria, but I don't know how to articulate it. So I took the chunk of the resume, the core responsibilities of the job description, my kind of brain dump notes, and use the prompt, act as a recruiter, and help me make a business case as to why this candidate would be great for an associate buyer merchandise leader. And that was when I, was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, I saw those, the bridge building connection points, those light bulb moments. And as a neurodiverse recruiter, sometimes those ideas are on the tip of our mouth or our brain, and it's like using ChatGPT to help us kind of get to that next step is really powerful. And so I took the data, obviously reorganized it in my own voice, and made the presentation to the hiring manager. She got the interview, and she was ultimately hired. So talk about creating remarkable experiences. One, it helped me do my job better, which was, I intuitively felt that this person would be great for the role, but I just didn't quite know how to articulate it. So that was one way, very simple, that I started using ChatGPT in my everyday full cycle recruiter role. So then I decided, well, now I'm sourcing, I'm working 30 plus positions. Now I'm going to move into outreach messaging. Now, outreach messaging has to do with first impressions, right? First impressions in our everyday life, personal or professional, make all the difference. And especially in the world of recruitment, when a candidate interacts with a recruiter or a company, that initial touch point can set the stage for the entire recruitment journey. So I know what it feels like to get a cold message or, a pitch slap versus getting a message that's highly customized to me. It captures my attention. It makes me feel valued right from the start. And so I started, leveraging ChatGPT in those initial touch points. And, ChatGPT can analyze that data and create those personalized greetings. And having fun along the way. And, I believe humor is a great way to break the ice. And I started just simple, pasting in a job description, seeking a creative marketer with a flair for digital campaigns, must be adept at SEO and content creation and analytics, include a dad joke, right? Output, hey, Anna, ever thought about marketing for a company that appreciates a good laugh? Why did the marketer get off the trampoline? Because he was worried about his bounce rate. So if you're into SEO and chuckles, we might be a perfect match. Let's chat. This is for me. I love corny dad jokes. So when I realized that with ChatGPT, I could always be funny when I'm not normally funny, I was very much hooked. It is, about fostering those connections, breaking down, barriers. And I continue to leverage this, throughout that process, because even AI knows that laughter is universal and it humanizes those interactions. So what happens if someone slaps you at high frequency? It hurts. So in a sea of standard and formal outreach messages, humor with the help of ChatGPT can, help you stand out. It can help your employment brand, stand out. And honestly, candidates are likely to remember recruiters and organizations that bring a smile to their face. So why not leverage this? So again, started using this in my outreach messages, and it really increased my response rate, and I was laughing in my day-to-day work, which is always important. So when we think about what candidates value today is responsiveness. Many organizations are leveraging AI and enabling ChatGPT to engage in real-time conversations with candidates. And that would involve setting up, a chat bot or conversational AI system that interacts, with candidates throughout the whole process. This is not something I've done, but I can definitely see the value. And there's a whole, step-by-step process of how you would do that. Some of the recommended platforms or frameworks were Dialogflow, Microsoft Bot framework, Rasa, or custom solutions using Python. Again, kind of over my experience, but I think when you're looking at building out the candidate journey and you want to have a high converting careers page, this is a very smart tool to consider, because when we think about candidates valuing responsiveness, they also value having access to that personalized candidate journey. So ChatGPT not only allows us to interact with them seamlessly through the interview process, right? And using ChatGPT to provide, templates for responses in the interview process, but it also gives us ways that we can move away from the one size fits all communication and really offer much higher level interactions with our candidates based on the data that they provide, from the resume, from the skills, from the profile, from their stated preferences. And this proactive approach, where many recruiters never had time to match up candidates, were like, I'm just working these roles. I know when I work with a candidate and maybe they're not a perfect fit, but I don't want to start over, I love the fact that I could leverage AI to help me figure out where I could potentially market that candidate in other departments or with other clients. So it increases the likeliness of creating a result for the candidate, which leads to deeper relationships and ultimately happier employees, and hopefully reduced turnover. The impacts of creating and being able to communicate with candidates in this way just, again, shows candidates that the organization you represent, or that really see them and hear them and value what they're looking to do. And I think it's also a way to help measure potential within an organization as well. So now that our prospective candidates have responded to our dad joke, we are on to the screening step of the process. And I am a highly coachable and lifelong learner, and I thought, I want to be a better interviewer. So with screening, I was using ChatGPT to, screen respectively. I would use it to create initial screening questions. I could, use it to tailor interview questions based on positions or on that unique candidate. Again, I would also use it to summarize notes and documentation. There are ways that you can leverage it to build assessments and scoring. But most importantly, most regularly, it was for hiring manager write-ups. And if organizations use that chatbot framework, they can, again, communicate through all the different steps of the process. I've also used ChatGPT to create a library of feedback templates to, respond faster for those various stages of the interview process. So acknowledging their application, moving them onto the interview step, scheduling interviews, interview confirmations, interview preparation, compassionate rejection, and feedback. Because we all know that one of the most common grievances from candidates today is the lack of response. And they submit their application and they're like, sorry, where is my application and what is going on? So by leveraging ChatGPT, recruiters can provide timely feedback, customized, detailed feedback based on predefined criteria. So if an organization is using ChatGPT to screen or evaluate candidates, there is a criteria that they can go through, and I'll mention that in just a moment. But most importantly, like speeding up the process, eliminating those black holes really reduces candidate frustration. It enhances the employer brand and shows these candidates that, we value that they're expressing interest in the organization. So now you want to make sure that when we are screening that we're doing it inclusively. So we can be the best trained. The traditional recruitment process, while it's well-intentioned, sometimes can be influenced by unconscious bias. And this can unintentionally result in unfair advantages or disadvantages for candidates based on irrelevant factors. So by leveraging ChatGPT's neutrality, they are able to remain objective in the screening process, and candidates can be judged solely on their merits and alignment for the role. So you have to remember that ChatGPT operates purely based on the data and guidelines that we give it. So it's important to build that out correctly. But once that's done, this ensures a very consistent experience for candidates. It reduces bias, and it, adds that extra layer of fairness, ensuring that everyone's individual application kind of gets a fair shot. So again, it evaluates based on the criteria that we give it. It offers recruiters and organizations a little bit more confidence in their shortlisting process, knowing that one part of the process has been purely objective. So consistent candidate experience, more, confidence in making decisions. It also promotes diversity and inclusion. So when organizations focus on having a more unconscious bias recruitment process, they are expanding the likeliness of building diverse teams. And diverse teams offer varied perspective, and varied perspective oftentimes drives innovation. And we know that, having a diverse workforce is not only ethically sound, but it's also good for business and leads to better decision making, increased creativity, and enhanced performance. So as we move to this more global workforce, organizations that leverage AI like ChatGPT to ensure their recruitment process is inclusive and fair, they're leading, they're increasing the likeliness of attracting top talent, driving a diverse and innovative and successful organization. So, what else do candidates care about? I know as a recruiter that I spend a lot of time fielding questions about culture and about the day in the life, and tell me more about how your company is involved in the community. What do they care about? So an organization that could leverage ChatGPT in real time, again, kind of in that chatbot function, they can offer resources and support to candidates in real time, giving them, access to ease of information, which we value being able to get access to information such as benefits and mental health support. a lot of candidates are afraid to talk about or disclose mental health concerns or medical concerns within those, first screening conversations that they have with recruiters. And so I've leveraged ChatGPT to help summarize benefits or create templates for when I do get that message, asking about, the culture of the company or the projected growth, so that I can, respond intentionally, but also provide that value. So when organizations leverage something like this on a high converting careers page, they demonstrate their commitment to transparency, to employee well being. And it is a significant draw for top talent. So having that immediate accessibility really elevates the candidate experience, and it helps us make sure that we're talking to the candidates that are most likely going to convert and go through that process, but showing empathy and understanding, and providing that supportive, proactive approach by being transparent and having tools like this to communicate effectively to candidates. So I think it is pretty amazing. So the road ahead, I've given you some examples as a G&A recruiter, how I've leveraged different aspects of ChatGPT within my day-to-day recruitment process to help me build more meaningful relationships, to embody the empathetic essence of recruitment across the board, to communicate better, to be more transparent, to drive diversity initiatives. And moving forward, it's all about balance. We can't have over reliance on AI, because that's going to risk it feeling impersonal and robotic. But leaders in the talent space and of organizations need to kind of strategically decide where they want to integrate tools like ChatGPT into the process, because it absolutely enhances efficiency and consistency. And you just always want to make sure that you ensure that the critical touch points are human led. For example, ChatGPT can make recommendations on who to screen, and general recommendations, but we always want those feedback loops to be human to human or person to person. And then with organizations that integrate, the AI chatbot feature, it's all about working with talent and HR and diverse leaders within the organization to make sure that you have audits and checkpoints in place to make sure that the AI is learning in the way it's supposed to, and that it's producing the results that are fair and equitable, and are in alignment with legal and ethical standards. So there are some risks. Sometimes the technology gets a little bit janky. If you've been using it, you've probably experienced that. There can be miscommunication, especially when humor or colloquial language is involved. So it's just important to constantly review and get feedback from both the candidate experience that may be interacting with AI, and leaders within the organization to make sure that you have those checkpoints in place. So in summary, I feel like ChatGPT and the future of AI in recruitment is, not about replacing the human element, but enhancing it. So the future of recruitment lies in our ability to, harness the best of both worlds, and, leveraging the efficiency, the consistency of AI, paired with our intuition and our empathy and ability to make sound decisions, will create a win-win for all. So I think I will pause there and just remember that, it doesn't replace this process, but can only amplify the empathy and fairness and human connection of the recruitment process. So I am Anna Morgan, and thank you for listening, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Yes, now you can hear me. Great work. Thanks so much, Anna, for your wisdom and
Thank
also
you.
practical examples that you gave.
Yeah.
I would definitely respond on that marketing. Hey, trampoline bounce joke.
I mean, I would too. I mean, and you can just, like I said, I am not always funny, but with ChatGPT, I can be. And, humor is a universal language. And, sometimes it might not be funny for someone, but it's like, I'd rather risk that than sending a bland, boring, I was impressed by your profile.
Yeah. So for you, right? In how many of the cases do you, because you don't you both help job seekers, but you also help companies, right?
Yes.
Fill the
Mhm.
right positions. So for on the companies that you work for, how many of the outreach messages that you do you write now with ChatGPT?
I mean, there's a couple like engineering firms that I'm working with right now that I've been, kind of testing this out, and my response rate has just increased exponentially. I don't know the percentage of it, but I've been playing around with it more and more, like pulling sections of the profile and giving a little bit of the rec details that I'm working, and then include a dad joke, and it's giving me some data. Obviously there's a lot of editing and reorganizing and kind of trimming out the extra words, but it has been more of a innovative tool to start more conversations, because for both recruiters and job seekers, I believe in connection. Conversations convert, and any bridge that we can build to start more conversations as a recruiter that's sourcing for a hard to fill position, or as a job seeker that's looking to get noticed by a recruiter, why not leverage tools like AI and ChatGPT to customize messages so that you can stand out from the noise?
Yeah. Hey, and Shirley asked a good questions. Good question. What happens when you work through an ATS where you already have communication templates, responses, and regrets, and you would have to go personally to edit each response to be a little bit more personal, especially for candidates that don't match your job description? Like, do you have any suggestions there?
I mean, I think it probably depends on the ATS, and I mean how big the enterprise is that you're working with. I mean, I worked on Workday and had access to the HR tech team pretty easily. But I guess I would kind of go old school, and depending on where they are in the process. Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on most of my experiences with Workday and Greenhouse. So I don't think I have a great resource for that, but it's a great question. I probably would just be more old school and have an Excel spreadsheet and try to cut and paste and send a manual email rejection that was more personalized, depending on how frequently I work that requisition, or how difficult it is to fill.
Yeah. Okay. So good old Excel sheet, and then
I mean,
one
sometimes
by
you just
one.
got to. I'm all about simplification and keeping things easy, but then also, trying to leverage the tools to do it better, faster, and more meaningful.
Hey, and where do you feel also with your experimentation, right? Where do you feel that you need to draw the line versus like ChatGPT doing the human connection, or like making the dad jokes, versus being too kind of like cookie cutter, or
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I don't. I don't want to exacerbate job seekers' fears of there's already all this misinformation that the ATS like eats their resume and auto rejects them. And we know that it's the majority of recruiters that our eyes lay, are on the resume. I don't want to see ChatGPT be built into too many, um, you know, criteria recommending systems, because I think people will start to rely on that too much, which then would pull away from the human to human aspect, right? Like, we want to be more efficient, but as a job seeker, if I think about being on the other side of the table, I want to make sure that you're actually looking at my resume and looking at the recommendations that maybe ChatGPT or AI is making, but and trusting that you're making a decision based on both of those things. So I think it just comes down to not getting into complete over reliance. I know there's been a lot of talk about how much AI is going to replace some of the work that we're doing. I think organizations that are thinking like that are short-sighted in regards to, because everyone's going to get burnt out on talking to chatbots, and
Yeah.
then it'll be just this rise of like, I just want to talk to a human, and we're going to be so excited about talking to a human. So that's why I feel confident that that part is never going away, and you just use the tools to amplify the connection, the human to human work that all recruiters we do well. And that's a lot of times the foundation of what keeps us in this business, is that we are, servant leaders. We like to help people. We like the thrill of the chase of serving organizations to find top talent.
Yeah. Hey, what advice would you give our audience today? Kind of like as a last kind of like nugget of wisdom for working with AI, embracing AI. Like what would
Yeah.
you recommend our audience?
I mean, it's really funny. I find a lot of like little tips and hacks just scrolling through TikTok sometimes.
With
So I
TikTok.
would,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
have ChatGPT open in your second window, and periodically, if you're in recruiting and sourcing, play around with it, and then follow obviously anyone that's talking about this content and this webinar, and working with you all to learn best practices, because there are a lot of recruitment experts that have a lot deeper knowledge than I do, that specific prompts and how to run more complex Boolean searches and stuff like that. But I wanted to appeal to, like, the more agnostic recruiter that's in the G&A space, that has typically operated in a very manual way, and this is how you can kind of elevate and work smarter rather than harder by using ChatGPT. So just start with the basic and play around with it, and just make it a part of your everyday routine, and you'll find that it's something that you come to enjoy and rely on to make better decisions and do your work even more efficiently.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
last but not least, is AI ever going to replace us recruiters and sourcers?
No, no, never, never, never. It's just going to help us do this work even better. And I think it's going to minimize those, candidate frustrations and the, black holes of the applications. And it's going to build more meaningful relationships, because we know, like, a candidate that we had to reject today could be the number one candidate for the most impossible fill position tomorrow. So having tools like this to deepen those relationships and build community and build that network, that's why I'm not fearful of that. We're not going to be
Good,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
good.
Have
We're asking exactly. We're asking that question to all of our keynote speakers, and so far, everyone has said no. We're not going to be
good
replaced. Which is
deal.
great.
Good deal. Love that.
Anna, I will really want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak here today. What's the best way for our audience to connect with you? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yes. Hit the bell on my profile, follow along. Please send me a direct message. Let me know what you thought about the conversation today. I am always looking to build community with other sharp recruitment professionals and just general community on LinkedIn. So yes, right here on this wonderful platform.
Perfect. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and dialing in. If you're watching the recording, I hope to see you next week, because next week we're gonna have Jonathan Kidder, who'll be sharing more about plugins and extensions in real life examples of all the different tools that he tested that are out there related to AI to support your recruitment and sourcing efforts. So a lot of practical wisdom from one of the most well-known recruiters and sourcers in the industry. So very excited to have Jonathan here with us next week. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and subscribe to our newsletter. And I hope to see you again next week. Thank you.